Hey everybody, welcome back to Row Country. Welcome if you're new. The 25 Days of Christmas continues today with this light up Christmas present in a country farmhouse style. Guys, this is pretty much all Dollar Tree and it starts right now. Stay tuned. Okay everybody, so this is going to be a super easy DIY today. We are going to start with some barbecue skewers from the Dollar Tree. Now I put down wax paper onto my tabletop there, and I did that because we are going to be using these barbecue skewers to make the frame for this light up Christmas present in this country farmhouse style. I have seen people doing these with dowel rods and other items to make the frame. I haven't seen anybody use the barbecue skewers, and to be quite honest, I wanted something a little bit larger and I wanted something that I could easily find. Now I have had these in my stash for quite some time, and so I decided I was going to use these. Now, one thing about the barbecue skewers, guys, is they are not always the exact same size. Sometimes they're a little bit larger, or a little bit smaller depending on which one you're looking at. What we want to do is we want to take these and we want to flip one of them. So we want the flat end and a pointed end at the same end, just like that. And this is going to be super easy, super quick to put together, guys. You just need to turn on like a Netflix movie and get all of your frame pieces ready before you move on. You might need some needle nose pliers. I used my scissors to help me because these barbecue skewers are not exactly straight either. So that was going to be a little bit of a challenge for me to try to get these really glued together. But all I did was I brought in my hot glue. Like I said, I've got these down on some, wax papers. I want to make sure that nothing sticks to anything else. I put down some hot glue between the two, and now I'm just using the tips of these scissors to pull the barbecue skewers together, and you're going to continue doing that. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking the barbecue skewers and we are doubling them up. Each frame has 5 sections or 5 pieces to it. So that's a total of 10 barbecue skewers that you're going to need for one panel for the gift that we are putting together, or the present that we're putting together. We're going to multiply that by 5 because they're going to be 5 panels. So in total, you are going to need 50 barbecue skewers. And when you find these at the Dollar Tree, I believe you get about 50 in the package, so that's going to be $1 for your frame. And when they're all glued together, this is what it looks like. It does not have to be pretty, and you can see that on one end, the tip doesn't necessarily meet the end, but it does on the other. And again, you're going to do 5 for each panel that we're making. So once these are all glued together and we have everything lined up, we are going to come back with our scissors and really just trim off any of that little bit that might be poking off the end of one. So you see here, we have that little bit is just really, peeking over the end of the one side. Take your scissors and trim that off. You don't want anything that is going to be poking through any part of this present, and it really just matters that you have the 2 pieces put together and nothing is hanging over on either side. Once you do have that done, then we are going to start to assemble the panel. This, guys, super easy to do. I'm not speeding up this part of the video at all. All I'm doing is I'm bringing end to end on these. So I'm going to make a square with these barbecue skewers. I'm going to lay them flat down, and then I'm going to put some hot glue at the top of one, and I'm going to bring the crossbar across. So I'm gluing the crossbar to the top of the 2 barbecue skewers that are laying down on the table. Now the great thing about this DIY, it is really very forgiving. You don't need a square to make a square. All you need to do is get end to end on these, and you'll do that. Like I said, the two that we're laying down, those are going to be on the bottom. Once you have your square made with those 4 pieces, you'll bring in that 5th piece and you will find center and you will glue it to that just like that. And that is 1 panel for us, guys. We are going to make 5 of these and put them together to create our light up Christmas present. Okay guys, so I have changed perspective here, and I just really wanted to give you more of an overview of what's happening, how I'm putting this together. So this is what happens after you get the 4 sides put together. You'll need to put some hot glue in the corner and then bring in some cotton twine or some, just regular twine to wrap your corners. That's going to make sure that your corners aren't, for a lack of better word, pokey. You don't want, when you cover this with what we're going to cover it with, you want to make sure that the corners are protected. That's going to keep your light up Christmas present lasting a long, long time. And I just want to show you how it is exactly that these panels are going together. The crossbar is up. It is not going into the present, and that is all the way around. So the crossbar on these should be facing outward when you start to put these together, and put together 3 of the 4 sides before you go ahead and finish off the 4th one. The reason that I did it this way was because I really wanted to be sure that my corners lined up for me and that I did have a nice corner. So you're going to wrap them at the bottom, flip your present over, and then you're going to use some hot glue, trim off anything that might need to be trimmed off, and just glue the corner together, and then go ahead and wrap it with the twine, and that's going to finish the frame for our present. Okay guys, so once everything is put together, it's nice and secure, you're going to want to bring in now a flannel backed tablecloth from Dollar Tree, guys. I chose one that would go with my Christmas decor and really my tree, and this is what I picked out. It's a 52 by 70, and guys, you can get 2 presents out of 1 tablecloth using the barbecue skewer method. Now guys, I'm really just going to hit the highlights on how this actually gets wrapped. I think we all wrap presents differently, but this was how I dealt with mine. The first thing I really did was cut my tablecloth in half. And this is how we're going to deal with a corner. So I already have one side already flat against one of the panels. I've turned it on its side, and up at the top I just started a crease and I folded it over, and I'm bringing it down to the bottom part of the frame, as you can see right here. So we have a nice diagonal line. Once I have that, I'm going to flip it up, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some more hot glue, and we do not want this to extend past the edge of the present frame at all. So I first glue everything, and then I come back with some scissors and trim it all away. Now once I've done that, and because that diagonal is in 2 layers, I just bring back some more hot glue and tack everything down. Once that's all done, we're really going to use some hot glue and just fold that underneath the frame. Guys, just like wrapping presents, as you work your way around, you will have 2 sides that have 2 diagonals, and then you'll have 2 flat sides. And we're going to treat this diagonal the way that we just treated the other. We're going to bring in some hot glue, glue it down to the edge, and then we're going to trim everything away, add some more glue between the layers, and that's really going to finish off how this present is actually wrapped. Okay guys, and so this is what it's going to look like. You've got the one side with the two diagonals, and then you've got a nice flat side, and then you have the one side with the two diagonals. You've got really 3 sides that are flat, 2 that are the diagonal. Just use your hot glue, trim away any excess, glue everything down to the frame, and then we are going to be able to move on to the next part, which is actually decorating this present. Okay guys, so the next thing I wanted to do was make sure that my pattern was going the way that I wanted it to go. And that's how this is going to look when it's under my tree. But I want to bring in some of this burlap ribbon that I picked up at Dollar Tree and this gingham ribbon as well. You'll notice I'm going in the more country farmhouse style, so burlap works for me. This was ribbon that I picked up last year in the green color, but I'm also going to bring in your traditional brown color of the burlap ribbon as well. And I love this ribbon because it has a nice edge on it. It is wired, so it's going to keep its shape for me when I use it in a bow as well. And I'm just bringing it crisscross over this present. So I'm starting on one end, it's sort of in the middle, and we're going to hot glue it down and then attach it. Now, once I have my ribbon crisscrossed, I'm going to start bringing in some of the other burlap and also this green, and I'm actually cutting off 14-inch strips of each ribbon. So I'm doing that with the green and the burlap color, or the brown color, and I'm doing 3 of each. I decided to bring in that gingham ribbon because I really feel like that really does lend to the country farmhouse style that I'm going for. Once I have my strips cut, I did take some hot glue and created a circle with each one of these. So I have 3 of the green, 3 of the brown, and then 1 that will be layered. So I took that gingham ribbon with the brown or regular burlap color, and one of those circles is going to actually have some of that gingham ribbon inside of it as well. So once you have all of your circles made, you'll want to flatten them out and start layering. And that is exactly what I did. So I have 2 green on the bottom, then I have a burlap, then I have a green, and I actually only made 2 of the burlap color. One of them has the layering with the gingham on it. I just took some of my twine and I found center on these stacked ribbons, and I'm just going to pull it together in the center once I'm satisfied that everything is going to stay where I want it to stay. I've seen people cut notches into their ribbon to do this. I didn't find that it was necessary. Again, this is wired ribbon, so for me it was already going to stay in place where I needed it to stay. And once I have that all pulled together, I did add a little bit of hot glue on that bottom ribbon just to really pull it in a little bit tighter before we start to fluff it out. And once I've done that, I just go ahead and turn it back over and really tie it down nice and tight. You want a nice tight center on these before you really start to fluff out this bow. But this, combination of this ribbon really does bring that country farmhouse style to this decor piece. And honestly, with the way that I do my Christmas, this is just really going to fit in so well. It's going to look really pretty under the tree. Once that is all done, now you can see you will just take your loops and start pulling them up and down alternately and push the ribbon into a bow shape. What's really nice again about this ribbon is that it does have that wire edge to it, so wherever you put your loops, that is where they're going to stay, and it really makes it a lot easier to zhuzh up this bow as it comes together. So guys, you might have been wondering, like, where are the tails on this? And this is how this is being put together. I went ahead and just took the ribbon that I chose for the base color of this, which is that green burlap color. And I took a section of it that would be enough to come down over the entire front edge of the present, and then I made a V shape, and I layered it with that gingham ribbon. So that's really going to be the tails on our Christmas present. I'm just attaching it to the top of the Christmas present up there all the way, and then we're going to layer our bow on top. We'll go ahead and add some hot glue to this as well, just to make sure that it stays in place. Guys, you just want to be sure that your ribbon bow part does cover where your tails are at the top of that present, just like that. Okay guys, so I'm bringing in this pick that I picked up at Walmart. It was $1.48. I've actually cut pieces off of this. So this is the remainder of what I had, and I really like that look of that rustic bell, but I do want to add to this. And how I'm going to do that is I am going to bring in some of my own pine cones that I've been using in some of my holiday decor. I did use the cinnamon bark essential oil. I just, dropped it on these, and then I drop these all down into this bag, and that really kept all of the scent together. That is how I rescent all of my pine cones. But I just want to find one pine cone that I'm going to add to this pick, just to kind of fluff it back up. And this one is just a little bit too big, but I think this one is going to be perfect. And I'm going to show you how I add back to some picks that I've deconstructed for other DIYs, and we're going to be doing that next. And hopefully this will inspire you guys to start putting back your picks, as you see fit, to be able to use them in future DIYs. So as you pull these apart, it is possible to put these back together. But that pine cone is going to be perfect. My Christmas tree does have red berries and pine cones in it already, so I thought that this would really bring the present together really, really well. And all I'm going to do is drop a very generous amount of hot glue into the bottom of this pine cone. Again, it is already scented back up, so this pine cone is going to add to the scent of this present underneath the tree, and it just, brings the rest of that smell of Christmas all the way through. Once that's set up, of course, that's way too long. I just used a barbecue skewer to, add something that I could push back down into that pick. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing in some gel stain and some chocolate bar apple barrel paint. I'm going to mix those together because before I cut off the stick, I want to kind of bring all of that color together. I don't want to paint it after I've added it back to the Christmas pick that I'm adding it to. So I'm just going to take a light coat over this just to change the color of the barbecue skewer, and I'm going to let that dry. Now once it's dry, I'm going to come back, and you'll see that there is a space down inside of that pick where I'm going to be able to stick this down in. I'm going to cut it off with just a little bit extra length on it, and once I've done that, I'll go ahead and add some hot glue to the edge of that, and that will then be pushed down inside of the pick. So honestly, when I look back at it, it's kind of amazing that you're able to pick apart these picks that you pick up at Dollar Tree or Walmart and use them in different DIYs, and then you're left with some of the leftover pieces, and you're able to kind of put it back together. So use your barbecue skewer, push it down into the hole with some hot glue on that, and then you'll be able to start bringing back the greenery and moving the berries around and all of that. And I really feel like the rustic bell adds again to that country farmhouse style, and so does that scented pine cone. And I just used the existing alligator clip that was already on there to attach it to the present. So guys, here's what it's going to look like in its native habitat, if you will. And say hi to Groot, that's one of my cats. But this is my Christmas tree, and I haven't even decorated it yet, but it already has pine cones and berries and some flocking and even some beads to give it that crystal ice look. I love this tree, and I really felt like this tablecloth from the Dollar Tree, of all places, really does match that sort of country farmhouse decor style. And all I'm doing is taking, you know, some of those Christmas lights that you can pick up at Dollar Tree. And guys, I know that they're on the ground right now. That is really how that's going to be for me. I do not find those lights to get hot in any way, but if you felt better, you could definitely go ahead and hot glue them to the inside of the present and then plug it in. But guys, I have to say, I'm really impressed at the amount of light that comes out of this Christmas present, this light up Christmas present with this country farmhouse style. It is just so pretty. And again, it's one of those flannel backed tablecloths from the Dollar Tree. I've seen these made with like mesh, and I like that, but I didn't really like that you could see the frame. This is a great alternative if the mesh presents are not for you, but I just feel like this really does lend itself to my country farmhouse style Christmas that I love to do every year. And so guys, here's one more look at my Christmas tree. This is a 7-foot or 7.5-foot tree that I picked up at Walmart. It is a faux fir tree with the berries and the ice and the pine cones. And here is the Christmas present, my light up Christmas present country farmhouse style that just matches so well. Guys, this has been part of my 25 days of Christmas here in Row Country. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below if you are going to try to make your own light up Christmas present, maybe with a country farmhouse style twist to it this year. And while you're here, if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. Click that button down below. Become a member of the Row Country family here on YouTube. We would love to have you. And while you're here, go ahead and watch another video. I will see you in my next one. Until then, bye!